a special edition of our Philippine Self Build. I'm going to talk about our crew and why we are structured the way that we are. Now that we got the cowl settled down, let me talk about our decision on our crew. If you followed last year, you know that we were a bit frustrated with the foreman that we hired. A little bit our fault because at the end of the day, Lynn wasn't up to speed. She fully is now, guys. She could easily run a crew. She would make a great foreman. But where we got to with all of this was first a bad foreman last year. Not bad, but just wasn't doing what we wanted and expected out of him, even though we had numerous talks with him. He really just wanted to be a masoon. But we've also noticed from watching other people's videos that there's this disconnect unless you're using an architect. And as you know, we've fired our architects. We kept the engineer who was going to do the design and stuff. I did the design, he just needed to do it to the point where the city would accept it. And a side note too is our building permit. We were already on the job and working for almost 3 months before our building permit finally came through. But we were told, go ahead. So we did. And that's just how it is. What else can I say? Yeah, so let's get back to the decision on the masoons. We quickly discovered by observation only, that our crew was working much better when the masoon had his 2 helpers and there was some flexibility in those helpers to do other things. And all we had to do was ask the masoon. So when Victor wanted to come on, we had a crew of 6 to 8 at the time. And we said, okay, we're going to try and do 369, 1 masoon per 2 helpers. And for us, that's worked out really well. And what has that meant for our cost? 100 pesos a day difference by having 2 masoon at a higher rate than the helpers, okay? And again, I think I've mentioned in other videos, one of the fellows has a trike and he brings the whole crew. So we voluntarily said, we will pay your gas. And so we pay his gas. And because of just being that, and we bonused the guys at the end of the year, although they didn't know it until they came back this year, they are happy with us. And you see that I goof around with them and all that sort of thing. So by keeping it light, it makes it easier on Lynn when she has to be the heavy. And it makes it easy when we want to shift up and make sure that the guys are doing our wishes and not their own wishes. Because if I'm a welder, of course, all I want to do is weld, right? If I'm a masoon, all I want to do is do carpentry. Wrong answer in my book. If I need you to dig, you dig. And that goes back to some of our business practices. I remember Dad saying to me one day, nah, job descriptions, garbage. If I need you to shovel the front sidewalk in the snow, you plenty well get out there and shovel it. So, okay, get my tie line back in order here. The cow's been moving it around. Okay, so that's kind of the decision that we've made and why we have 2 or 3 masoon, a primary, but he doesn't get paid any extra. And at the end of the day, it's costing us 100 pesos a day difference. In Canadian, that's $2.50. If I had to pay a foreman, we've had quotes as high as 700 pesos for a foreman. That would have cost us an extra 400. So, and I don't think the crew would be as happy. I really don't. Maybe with our crew, maybe that's just how it is. Now, the other thing is, and the last point I'll make, is that because we felt this crew was solid enough, Lynn's brother needed a crew for Mandawi, which is Cebu City, the northern end of Cebu City, and so he took them down there, and they were happy to get the extra work. They were away from their families, but he drove them back and forth every weekend. The little bit extras go a long way. They go a long way, guys. Say later, Gators. Whoa, go back to eating. Later, Gators.